Daniel's girlfriend had just accepted his proposal, but before he could share the joy with anyone,
Danny,
Yeah, just a sec, Frank.
you gotta go outside.
he followed the waiter's gaze, and his heart nearly stopped. His girlfriend had just been in a car accident. The news shattered all of Daniel's dreams for the future. Doctors managed to save her life, but due to severe brain trauma, she became a vegetative patient with no ability to move. Devastated, Daniel once considered ending his own life, but he feared that if she ever woke up, she might not find him. So he came up with a plan. One of his scientist friends was working on a cryo-sleep chamber experiment.
I want to sleep for a year.
Look, you've been through an awful lot.
Let's thought this through.
No, forget.
The experiment was still in the testing phase, so his friend didn't dare let Daniel try it. But Daniel insisted on joining. He begged his friend, if Helen ever woke up, he must come and wake him too. 50 years passed in the blink of an eye. One day, two boys sneaked into an old warehouse scheduled for demolition. They discovered a metal pod that looked like a submarine. It was Daniel's cryo chamber. Out of curiosity, the boys opened the pod. It took 2 hours for Daniel to regain consciousness. He crawled out of the chamber and began to adjust to life again. After getting dressed, he went to a phone booth and called his friend. He wanted to know how long he had been asleep and what had happened while he was gone.
Sir, you're missing 2 digits. You need 7 digits, sir.
Just then, a helicopter flew overhead. In the spotlight, he saw a banner showing the current year. Only then did he realize he had been frozen for 50 years. Daniel went to a nearby police station for help, but the police didn't believe his story, so he had to search for answers on his own. Eventually, he found a house.
Hello, ma'am. I'm looking for a man named Harry Finley. He was a scientist. Do you know this man?
That's my father. Father is dead.
The news left Daniel completely stunned. Although his friend had passed away, at least he found someone who knew the truth. From the woman's story, he learned what had happened. Shortly after Daniel entered the pod, the lab caught fire in an accident. His friend died trying to rescue him, so no one else in the world knew Daniel had taken part in the experiment, which is why no one found him for 50 years. Looking through his friend's notebook, Daniel finally understood why there was no record of any of this in the news. The cryo experiment had one fatal flaw. Human aging doesn't stop during cryosleep. All bodily functions would catch up to the person's real age once they woke, which meant Daniel would soon age into an 80-year-old man. Suddenly, Daniel saw a familiar photo in the notebook. It was a picture of his girlfriend, Helen.
Is that your child?
No, we were never married.
It's me in the picture. I was 2.
That's impossible. She died before you were born.
Daniel, Helen's alive.
Helen had actually woken up long ago. She had been living alone on a small island ever since. After waking up and thinking Daniel had died, Helen vowed never to marry anyone else. Daniel immediately set out to find her. He crashed a public exhibit to get access to a plane, and flew straight to the island where Helen lived. His hands gripped the controls tightly, wondering what Helen might look like after 50 years. But his body was rapidly aging. He could no longer fly the plane by himself. So he asked the boy beside him to help land it. They landed safely, and went to Helen's home. But after knocking a few times, there was no response. At that moment, it felt like fate had played a cruel joke on him. But just as Daniel stood in silence, staring into the distance, he heard someone calling his name. And just like that, these two lovers separated by 50 years were finally reunited.